and welcome to the Property Unleashed podcast with me, Mark Fitzgerald. It's great to have you joining me here today. And as you can see, if you are watching this, and obviously if you're listening to it, you will hear I have a special guest today, and he is coming back on the show. I believe it was been about a year. Well, we were talking about this just before we went live. It's been about a year since we had my friend Rupen Patel on the show, but we've got him back to see what he's been up to over the last 12 months and to dig a little deeper. So welcome back to the show, Rupen. It's great to have you on.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark. It's a great pleasure to be back with the Unleashed podcast. Loved it last time, so I'm looking forward to today.
Brilliant. So Rupen was with us on episode 83. Now, if you haven't listened to that episode, do go back because it'll tell you a lot more of the background about what he's been doing. And he had some fantastic creative ideas and investing and flips that he was doing. But really, what I want to talk to you about, Rupen, is what you've been doing in the last 12 months and you know, beyond, so to speak, what the future's going to hold. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. So where are you up to? What have you been doing since we last spoke?
Well, yeah, quite a bit, Mark. Yeah, quite a bit. I know we've spoken in the past, and you've been really supportive. So, firstly, I appreciate all your support and guidance as well through many different questions and many late phone calls. So, yeah, power to you, my friend. I appreciate that. So, what has the last 12 months brought what's happened? Firstly, it's when I look back at it and join the dots up backwards and see. I sometimes pinch myself of what has been achieved, and some of the habits and changes that I've seen in the last 12 months have just really amazed me. But to give you a summary of the last 12 months, and take this as I wanted to run through these, and this is why I pinch myself to see what can be achieved in 12 months if you plan it, goal set. Get around the right people, have the right mindset, work on your mindset. Them things have been my main drivers. So I created 2 property businesses, one being Master, which is our property company. We then have formed another company, City and Borough Estates Limited, which is our operations company. We also, a tentacle off of that has been our refurbishment business. And we have also, from a deep desire and partnering with my life partner, Tracy, our own kitchen design studio that does bedrooms and kitchens, which has taken off a phenomenal rate. And I'll tell you about the model about that in a moment. So with the refurbishment side of it, we've now coming up in the first 12 months, nearly 16 light to heavy refurbishments, some for investors and other landlords in the network, and some of my own. So that has been brilliant. We are the Master Property Group Limited has acquired its first HMO, and that's just going through at the moment. The legals have been challenging, I would say, to say the least. But I think property is not easy, and if you are okay with that, it's worth punching through because the deal really stacked up. Again, I can talk about that if you would like me to in more detail. And at the same time, in the first year, we've secured our first rent-to-rent, which I'm sure and a great help from you, but it'll be great to share with the audience some of the stuff I did there. And then with the kitchen business, we're coming up to nearly, for our first year to 6 months, we set out our cash flow targets, our model, and good news is after 6 months, I think we're going to just probably reach our yearly target. So I'm so pleased with it, and Tracy's been really working hard. Great lead intake. Because if you tell people what you're doing, they come to you, right? And that model there, with so many multi-brands out there, what we really focused on was working with property investors, property developers, and tradespeople, and getting out for them. And that's what the model's all about. And yeah, we've had some phenomenal success, and long may it continue.
Well, exactly. I mean, so you haven't been doing much over the last 12 months then?
It's been a bit boring, had my feet up, right? Bit of red JR, Links, go fly fishing a couple of times.
And that with obviously you've got a family as well to look after, young children, older children. No, that's really, really good, and it just shows what you can do and what you can achieve if you put yourself out there. And of course, is it easy? No, it's definitely not easy. But as you say, if you're willing to punch through and you've got a passion for what you're doing, and I always say you've got to almost love what you're doing, because sometimes you get, you can share that with us in a minute when we talk about your HMO that you're buying at the moment. You get slapped in the face so many times that you do ask yourself sometimes, why am I doing all of this? Even if it's just your mind playing tricks on you, but it's at those moments you've got to sort of almost slap yourself again and say, shut up and get on with it. This is going to be worth it in the long run, isn't it?
Exactly that, Mark. You do have that. You have a word with yourself and going, do you know that old adage? Is this a signal out there of not doing this? Is it a sign? Don't do this. And I kept saying to myself, look, property's not easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. There's so many moving parts to purchasing. It's so many. The thing with social media, people can buy, this property and then do it up and make 30 grand in 28 minutes. Great. Give me some more of them. I'd love them, right? But this is an HMO, there's a lot of moving parts to it. And I know that two things is trusting the numbers. Long as you've not put square pegs in round holes, make sure square pegs go in square holes, and trust the process. That's them two things. Third one, believe in your own ability. That's really key. I'm going to give you a fourth one just as a bonus for you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Is lean on your network. Our good friend and mentor Simon Zusi says your network is your net worth, right? That's what we've been brought up with.
Oh, it is. It is massive, and some great tips there. So do you want to share with us the pitfalls of your HMO that you've got coming through? Obviously, we've walked around that. We can talk about your rent-to-rent deal in a bit as well, but I'm sure a lot of the listeners will be really interested to hear, because I always think through struggles, we learn more than, as you say, just seeing, I bought this property for this, I flipped it into 25 minutes. Well, it was actually 26 minutes because the solicitors delayed me, and then I made £35,000. But in realistic terms, most deals, you're always going to have problems. You're always going to have a few issues along the way. So, I mean, if you don't mind sharing with us, how you found the deal or came across it, what you're looking at doing with the deal, and of course, what the end result will be for you in your property investing portfolio.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So let's start off from the beginning. So what the importance of connecting with estate agents. I think that's really important. I created and built a portfolio down in the Medway towns, and I did have an agent looking after that one. I built a really good relationship with that agent, and then, as you do as a property investor, is I say, can you put me on your mailing list? I built that relationship with his sales team, the MD, and I got a phone call one day saying, look, I know you've been asking about HMOs, one for doing rent-to-rent, business-to-business offering, but also I was looking to purchase. And I got the phone call, says, I've got a tired landlord, and it's a tired landlord. And this was from the managing director himself, rang me, so I've got a tired landlord. They have had enough. They've got this 5-bed HMO. Extremely tired. He wants to get out of the game. Are you interested? So straight in the motor, down the motorway, and had a look at it. I go, yeah, love it. Very deceiving property. So luckily, I've got experience with building surveying and building houses, really. So, and doing through the refurbishment business. So not only did I see the building and its entirety, as in what it was then, is what I could do with it. And that's really important as well when you're going out and doing and looking at properties, is that we can get carried away with what we want to do with it. It's like, what is that building like now? And a lot of people miss that part of it, which can be quite costly. So that was done deal. This was last August, would you believe, in 2022. August, I saw it. August, maybe early September. done the deal, said we tick on the box. Right, paperwork goes off, solicitors go. Solicitors get all the memorandums, and we get rolling, which is brilliant. I'm thinking, God, this could be a real swift one. Come through, and then mortgage offer. We got a mortgage offer. Now, this was the first time I'm going to be putting a property into my company. The other ones I've got have been sole proprietor because I didn't set it up right then. So I didn't know what I was doing because I wasn't educated. But I put this into the company. That was pretty much simple enough. Everyone was happy. Got the mortgage offer, which was great. Got a decent interest rate on it. I was happy. It was better than the interest rate because I stress tested it. Because I saw the interest rates creeping up. I've always stress tested at 6%. I'm sort of stress testing at 7.5% to 8% now. So at 7.5%, as long as it wipes its mouth, I'm okay. I think mid-October, we're about to sign, offers about to come through, and mini budget comes through with Liz Truss breaking my heart on that Friday. And on the Monday, they pulled all of the products. So that was one of the big ones. So they pulled all the products. Broker rang me in an utter panic, in hysteria, in fact. I can imagine what his day was like.
Yeah.
And I said, look, you know what? I get it. I've been through 2 or 3 recessions and some big crises before. It's a blip. It's going to come back round, right? The world's still spinning at 17,000 miles an hour. We're going to move forward. So he goes, all right. So a couple of 3 weeks later, we get a new one. This was another provider, another mortgage provider. But they have been the bane of my life for the amount of questions they've been asking. And I get it. AML, brand new company. It's a new company, so a couple of years old. Not had a lot of activity with holding property, and brand new customer to these guys. Anyway, legals had some issues. Then my legal side had some issues. Then the legal teams from the lenders send me a 7-page question sheet. This is all the stuff that comes with it. And I know I might be going on, but anyone who can just slide into a house in 28 minutes, power to them, man. I tip my hat towards you. But this is now coming into January, February. The vendor now is saying, look, I want it done by April. Because I want to use my capital gains allowances. So, well, you know what? It's January, February. Yeah, we can do this. But the legals are still going on. Cut long story short, the legals are still going on. The 7-page questionnaire and questions of, I don't want to be rude on it. I won't be any innuendos, but they wanted to know the inside leg measurement of my jeans. It was just crazy the amount of stuff they wanted me to have. HMO applications for something I'm not even bought yet. Insurance policies that I haven't bought yet. But you know what? We got round it. Every question I said, right, it's a challenge. Let's punch through it. It's just an obstacle mindset, and let's just keep punching forward, because I wanted that property. I knew what it could produce and what the future looked like. And that's really important when you're doing it. When you're coming up against these challenges, size up the iceberg. Where's it going to take you? What's it going to do for your generational wealth eventually? And it's going to be a property that's going to be hopefully for my kids. But also in that time, whilst I've got a pulse, how much cash flow is it going to bring me? So we're still going through it. We're very close to finishing it off, and yeah, that's where I'm at the moment. The actual deal, got it at 268. I got a bit of a smaller discount off the back of the mini budget. So out of every seed of adversity comes something good, which it helped the numbers stack a little bit more leaner. And then we've costed it out. I've costed it out, which just through my experience and with my builder's assistance, who's a good lad. And we've gone in for planning for making it a 5-bed to a 6-bed. planning officer's been fantastic, really, really good. He wanted to come straight. He wanted to come straight down. We met him. You've seen the property yourself, Mark, right?
Yep.
You know what the plan is there. And he's good as gold. He gave us some advice, and he's going through planning at the moment. So I'm hoping both of them sort of clicking. We get it done and dusted. We've secured the property. Just need to get really cracking on. It's going to be a fantastic summer project. It is tenanted. It's for 5 bedrooms. We've not, the vendor's been great. He's not filled the bottom 2 rooms into the basement. That's where the build's going to be. So it's just a matter of time now. We bought it at 268. Build's going to be a circa through my teams and my business in the region, and our supply of product. And I love negotiating on products. So I'll get some really good deals. But some quality product. Up the ante of the quality of the product, putting brand new en-suites on it, brand new electric. The electrics are pretty good, but we're going to upgrade them. Brand new pressurized system all the way through. We're going to put every room, 2 will be off suites, 4 will be en suites, and have an internal refurbishment, and plus the new build. We had a couple of my RICS contacts have given us a initial valuation of circa 450.
Nice, very nice.
And it cash flows about £800 a month. Okay. So it'll be cash flowing at £800. 800 to a bag of sand, 1,000.
Very nice, very nice. And thank you as well for going into that level of detail, because again, like you say, very much on this show, I like to keep things real. Property is hard work. It is persistency and consistency that will get you there. But at the end of the day, things are never always as smooth as they seem. Now, you can stand up in front of people and say, I've done a case study. I found this property. I bought it for this. It's cost me X amount to do. The return on investment is this. And at the end of the day, the GDV is this. That's great. But what you don't know is all the hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, as I always say, and plenty of tears that goes into actually making those deals happen. And people say to me, well, how can you can't buy property in a rising market? You can't buy property. Oh, it's better to buy property in a falling market. When is the best time to buy? Basically, look at the deal. If the numbers stack and it can generate you what you want, i.e. cash flow, the long-term, capital growth, we have no control over. That is, subject to the elements, subject to, what's happening in our environment. But cash flow is something that we can control. And I'm guessing, you've done all your numbers there and everything. And interest rates, of course, have gone through. We say they've gone through the roof. They haven't. They've just stabilized pretty much and gone back to where they used to be before we had the big credit crunch in 2008, of course. But we've just had it good for so long, but now they're back to where they are. But you're looking at cash flow, and you're looking at holding on to these properties, aren't you, for a long term?
Yeah, there was the one we done last year was me. The one I flipped last year at Plumstead, where we used PLOs, BMV, back to brick refurbishment, and built the annex. That was me to get a lump of profit for me to stay full-time property investing. Now we got into a more of a, this year was all about cash flow, cash flow, cash flow. I'm not about profit lump sum at the moment, nor assets. It's naturally there'll be some assets drawn out from the cash flow, as like for this one, for this particular property, but it was all about cash flow. As you know, we've got to put butter on the bread and milk in the tea for the kids first. They come first. And as you know, I've got the old adage of more kids than a goat farm, right? and that's important to us, right? That was what, but myself and Tracy, considering we've gone into entrepreneurship with retail and the properties, it was really important that we pivoted as well. So going, like, actually, what do we need on the 5-year plan to live off? And we was humble enough to go and get a checkup from the neck up to go, right, we can cut that back, because the bigger picture for us will be a lot more fruitful. Yeah. And that is always worth looking at. Of course, you need to keep the lights on, as I always say, while you're doing things. Yeah. And, if you've got to flip a property, you've got to sell it. Obviously, the best thing to do is to try and keep hold of them. But if you need that money to bring in the income to be able to create more wealth for yourself, then it's an absolute no-brainer. And, it is worth, while I say flipping properties is great, it's like getting a bonus.
when you flip a property, because obviously you don't know where the market's going to be when you come to sell it on or anything like that. So if you can get those bonuses, that's great. But it's all about making sure that you know pretty much what you're going to be earning on a month-on-month basis when you're into entrepreneurship, and cash is king. Now, a lot of people say to me, well, I'm not interested in what you've done, Mark, rent to rent. I'm more into buying properties and holding on to properties and building that long-term wealth. And I'm all for that. But I think everybody starts at a different position. For me, rent to rent worked because it meant that I could build a portfolio up very quickly using other people's properties and bring that cash flow in, which I needed to replace my wage. But equally, I do say to people that when you're starting out in property, rent to rent is great, whether you're doing serviced accommodation or whether you're doing HMOs. It's a really good way to start bringing in that income to potentially get you out of that job and free up your time. But equally to that, we all run out of money at some point. And you're out there, you're doing flips, you're doing developments, but you're also adding a little bit of rent to rent for a bit of cash flow as well, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cash flow thing. So just coming on to, for any business, people come into property, cash flow is utterly king. Like in January and February this year, Mark, I'll be very open, because if it helps one person in this audience, then job done. But, we got to, and I'll be real truthful, that we had some real suffocation on cash flow, not through being incompetent or taking our eye off the ball. It was just sometimes happened. People owed us money in our businesses. We had properties going through. The retail business was owed some money. Our lead banks, we had more leads than Batsy Dog's Home, right? It was just loads. There was loads of leads. Our quote banks were good, and the property deals, but we could not hit a barn door with a shovel. It was that. Nothing was landing, and people weren't paying. But again, mindset, rather than go in a corner, get back in the middle of the ring and start punching again, right? And that's really important. Sum up that energy from your guts and just go, right, we're going to push through this. What's our solutions? Forget about the problem, not forget about the problem. What's the solution to the problem? And punch through. And to tell you the truth, right now, I look back on only 2 months ago and going, where we are today, manifestation, keep doing it, keep punching, and you will get you'll get where you want to get to. But you've got to pivot as well.
Yeah, you have to. I almost say as well that it's times when you look back at that and you think to yourself, I kept my head down, or you and Tracy kept your head down, you kept focused on the main goal, and you didn't let emotions get the better of you and then just panic, and that's where people fail, because they stop. You stuck with the process. And a lot of the times, and I've had it myself, even when I've been building my rent to rents up and getting a lot of properties on, then all of a sudden you start to bring people in and you start to have expenses. And like you say there, if you're doing, kitchen business and stuff, a lot of that probably is up front from your end before you actually invoice and get the money back in. And businesses, all businesses like that will get strangled and can suffocate in many cases when it comes to that sort of thing. But equally to that, if you quit, then you have blown and you have lost everything. So I think, it's commendable to you and Tracy that you've kept your heads, you've kept, a strong relationship, you've trusted the process, as we always say, and you've kept pushing forward. And now you're in, a vastly different position.
Yeah, massively. And that's it. Even with the property side, getting these deals nailed takes time, and you want it, but it will take a little bit longer than, trying to, unwind a quote bank on a retail business. Yeah. But, even with that, and then all of a sudden, the rent to rent gets nailed, we get closer with the HMO, and then I get another 2 leads coming in, for one being a repossession that we spoke about before as well. And that started all last year. So you're going to get these dark days, and them dark days are the times where you grit your teeth, you get you get your chin up, right? Don't let your head drop. Like I said, get back in the middle of the ring, start punching. Because them dark days is where you learn and grow the most.
Exactly. And I know you're an active member of, different communities. You're an active member in my community as well, which is always great to see. But, how much has that helped you as well? The people that you've had around you.
Oh, massively. Again, openly, I'm with you on your essay training with yourself and Graham. That's brilliant. And obviously with the Rent to Rent Academy. the people in that group are fantastic. Not only that, then you've got your WhatsApp groups, etc. You can just chat. Oh, you know, I've got my mastermind group. I've got my rent-to-rent group with you. I've got you, right? And again, for the audience, like if you're people who have worked with yourself, I've rang up and sort of text you at 10 o'clock at night with a question. I get an answer back, right? It's brilliant. It is brilliant. I don't take the mickey, but because you still got a life. But yeah, I think that important of that support network, I mean, that is so key. You can read books, you can go on courses, and you can absorb and embrace all of that information. I think two things that you will learn the most from is other people's experience and your own experience. I think them two teach you the most.
Yeah. And I also think that, you know, the community itself is brilliant. By, you know, your network is your net worth, as we said before. But it is very much a case that if you've got a problem, sometimes it's just nice to have people there that you can just talk to about it. Now, whether they can solve that problem or help you with that problem is by and by, because a lot of the time, and I find this myself, is just talking a problem through with somebody. All of a sudden, you'll just have a little, oh, I know how I can solve this now. I know what I need to do, because you've got yourself, so to speak, out of the weeds of the problem, and you're just talking about it as if maybe it's somebody else's problem, and it moves you forward. So it is really, really worth getting yourself into that right environment. And I always say the training is brilliant. Pretty much you can get, you know, most property training anywhere, and they'll all teach you the fundamentals. But what I actually love about it is how it's put out there, because there's some people that work ethically. There's other people that are just after the money and couldn't care less. But it's about that community, that follow-up, and being a part of something, which I think is massive. I mean, it was massive for me when I worked with PIN. It's massive for me in my own rent-to-rent training. It's massive for Graham in the serviced accommodation training. And I think it pays dividends. And that's why, you know, people that are involved in our community get such good results and keep going, because they're in a supportive community that won't let them quit, keeps them pushing forward. And you put yourself into those environments, which you have as well, because you've invested in yourself in those different things. It gives you that leg up. I mean, we're all working up a ladder, aren't we? At the end of the day, we all start at the bottom. We're taking a step up. Oh, we've had a little slippage. We've gone down a couple of runs. Let's keep going, because my friends are at the top and I want to be there. They're going to help me up, you know, at the end of the day, or they're going to push me or give me a leg up at the end of the day. And I think that's so important. And of course, you're massive with that. You've taken on, you know, your own networking event now as well, haven't you? So, you know, that sort of thing, and giving back is what it's all about, isn't it?
Massively, massively. It's just going on to the Facebook groups for the SA and the rent-to-rents. You and Graham. I read a lot as well, because people have got issues or questions. You learn so much from that as well. It's not only your own questions, so you're always picking up good tips and what to swerve as well. As in, like, right, you know, I just see that man trip over that curbstone. I better not do that as well, right? So, you know, it just gets in your subconscious. But yeah, absolutely, Mark. I think it's really important. I forgot what you said. You finished off with.
No, you did it. That's brilliant. So what I was going to ask you next is, of course, you've had all of this going on, and you've just secured your first rent-to-rent deal.
Yes.
You've sort of been marketing and doing this in the background whilst you've been doing your flips and, you know, buying properties and obviously working your way through it. So do you want to tell us a bit about your rent-to-rent deal?
Yeah, that was, you know, it's my first one. And again, I've said it a couple of times, but massive support from you on this one. And the modules and the detail in the modules has really sort of nailed some. Yeah, I think the angel's in the detail, right? Those people say devil's in it. I think it's the angel's in the detail. And I'm a blaze energy on wealth dynamics. So detail is sometimes not my strength, right? Sales and marketing and people are my flow. So this rent-to-rent was done through Sitting Borough. We done a marketing campaign. This was from last summer. I get a phone call at the end of January. So these letters went out May, June. And then I get a phone call at the end of January, and the client says, Rupen, I've had your letter for 6-7 months. I've got a brand new HMO. We're struggling. And she really sort of opened her heart out, really looking for someone to manage it. Can you help? How much can you give me? And I said, well, I've got an answer for both of them questions. Firstly, yes. And secondly, I don't know, but let's meet up and let's talk a bit more. Because can't you give us an indication? I said, well, I could, but do you want me to sugarcoat it, or do you want me to be realistic? Right? Sugarcoating it is, it's not in my values, but let's see the property. But again, long story short, went to see the property with a lovely couple, both professional. It was a buy-to-let. It was their family home. They've moved out of town a bit more. Both professionals. I said that already. And they managed on a buy-to-let, ruined them, right? Because they're not landlords. They're not educated with it. Lovely people, very sharp people. And as I've got to know them even more, fantastic hearts as well, very, very giving. And when that happens, and when the landlord's like that, you kind of want to give them double back, right? You really want to give it to them. And that's, I love that compassion, I love that sharing. And I wanted to give that. I'm very customer centric as well. So I wanted to give that service to them. But then here comes my favorite bit, is a negotiation. So when it comes to the negotiation, albeit professionals, they still want top dollar. Went to see it. What they've done is they went for an HMO license back in 2018 because I said, why did you get it back in 18 and do nothing with it? It goes, oh, someone told me to do it. So they did it, right? And it's an Article 4 area. I then went to my first thing is, do you want to sell it? Try to get a PLO. But no, it's a family home. It's for their future and their children, their grandchildren. That's fine. They've actually had a massive refurbishment on it. Brand new kitchen, shared bathrooms, but fantastic power shower, beautifully tiled bathrooms. All the rooms have been decked out. The wardrobes were a bit iffy, but I'll sort them out. And they basically wanted, I'll give you some numbers on it. They wanted 3,200. I've done the sums, didn't stack. What did help though, and again, sort of minimizing the chat about this, is what helped is the calculators that you have formed with them, where it gave us, with the buy-to-let scenario and the rent-to-rent and broken down. And I just showed them that. I said, listen, if you go buy-to-let, or if you go and get an agent involved with this, it's going to cost you this. But this is, and they're going to want that monthly, and they're going to come for you for costs, and then all the other added bonuses. So then they started saying to me they've been offered by other people 3,200 quid for it, 3,200 pounds. Sorry, I forget. Sometimes I forget I'm on a podcast. 3,200 pounds. But I said, look, this is what I said to him. I said, I really like you, and if you want that amount of money, because I was offering them substantially a lot less than that, Mark. If you want that money, go for it. Honestly, we'll shake hands. But I tell you what I'll do. Let me help you. Let me help you secure that and make sure that you're okay. Honestly, they're going like, what you do that for us? I said, yeah, of course I would. I like you. You're nice people. We've had a good few phone calls, met you. And they were like, okay. But so I said, look, sleep on it. That's my offer. But what I'd actually done with it was still tight at margins, because ascertaining what the energy costs are going to be and what I want to do in it, and plus I had to furnish it as well. Bit of a guess there. We're a gate crasher, Mark.
There goes the dog. Sorry about that.
It's okay. So we've and then what I did is I structured it in. So I gave them the package. This is what the package. But what I've done is a couple of things I've done. It needed to be furnished and it needed white goods. So that we agreed that I tiered it over a 5-year period, which were they were really happy about the 5-year contracts. They really wanted to be hands off. And I said, look, this is it. Anyway, a couple of weeks later, this is what our package was. A couple of weeks later, they called me, so they thought about it. I know it's less money, but we really like you, Rupen. We trust you. I said, even though we've only met, but we that initial thing, which is I was, internally grateful for. It's lovely comments to hear. And you've been really truthful for us, because I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, Mark.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, and in the most professional way I could, I gave them tough love as well, because I didn't want them to get into a trap of being absorbed by property and getting punished by different fees from somebody. And I think it's really important that we hold our own as operators doing that. So the deal was, I won't give you the exact numbers, but unless you want them, but I tiered it over 5. We agreed that they will sort out the HMO license. And they've been brilliant. Brand new refurbishment. I did go there, said, look, your boiler needs changing. They got the boiler changed straight away, no issues. And then I said, with the white goods, they expected me to pay. I said, well, that's not going to happen. I won't be able to do that. They're your white goods. So, but what I'll do is I will source them for you, because guess what? Got a kitchen company, right? So, and I said, look, I'll do that, and I don't want to make any money on it. I'll just look after it, and I'll do that. I'll take the work off of you. They said, fine, do it. I'll pay for it. There's some other little bits and pieces in the house. They'll pay for that. But this is what I'll do for you. So here's your little list. Here's my big list. So it's really good to just really illustrate that. And brilliantly, they appreciated it. So I did it over a 5-year period. And what I've done is, in the first year, I've got a couple of months rent free, a lower amount of rent. Second year, I've upped the ante a little bit on the rent. And then years 3, 4, and 5 is what we agreed with. It was about 2,700 quid. They were happy with it. They're going to get, and I worked it out that they will get less than whatever their cost of it is, unencumbered property. I think I was going to be chucking in about £150,000 to them over a 5-year period. That it's right, hands off. Plus, I'll be maintaining the property as well.
Yeah.
Only just what I did also, just as a little tip, is I need to protect myself as much as I'm trying to create that win-win for the client. On the breakout clauses, I did it every 6 months for the first 2 years in my favour, because I'm doing all this up. So if it's not working for me, I need to break out. They get bought in after 2 years. That means I can get my money back. They've got a beautiful furnished house, being taken care of, landscaped, maintained, and compliant as well. Really important, because compliance is massively important to rent to rents. I think some of these I've viewed in the past, the operators haven't been very compliant, and it's quite dangerous for the tenants.
Yeah.
And hopefully, well, with every expectation of me really recruiting a fantastic caliber of tenants. So I'm going to leave that. So after 2 years, I'll have my money back. I probably had a bit of money in my bank. So at least it's wiped its mouth again. Of course, I want it for the 5, but they might, for whatever reason, they may want it back. But then I said to them, if you take it back after 2 years, then you've got to buy the furnishing from me as well. I said, well, how do we get the cost on it? I said, well, it's simple. My account and your account, and put a formula together, whatever depreciation there is. So why I'm telling you this is, I'm sort of looked at every little bit of every corner of the detail, which has bloody surprised me. And I pretty much stole that ideas from support networks, like from Your Academy. So that's all kicking off. With all the sofas have been delivered, appliances on order. I had 2 months rent free, so I'm just really sort of pushing to take advantage of that. We're going to dummy adverts not dummy adverts, like teaser adverts to rent rooms are going out this weekend. I'll be probably spare rooms. And then once it's dressed and furnished, I will get some new updates. So I'm really getting a teaser out there, because I love all that marketing stuff. Yeah. So, because there's going to be, that area, because it's massive, it's cafe culture around there, Mark. Got 2 stations. I think nowadays where doing steps is a big thing. It's about a mile and a bit walk to the station. There's a bus if you wanted it. cafe cultures to both sides. It's a nice part. The other thing is it's right next to a Premier Inn. It's about 200, 300 yards from a Premier Inn. So it might be you've got to check with the HMO license, so might repurpose it in the future. So that's still really exciting. And they're happy as Larry. I think it's really important for me that landlord and me got on tight.
Yeah. Well, it is. It's the building up the know, like, and trust. I love the way that you've negotiated, because that's how I do things, which is breaking it down, show them what it's all about. At the end of the day, you don't share everything, but you share what they need to see, which helps them to make a good decision. Marketing letters, hey, it works. At the end of the day, it's old, tried and tested. People are always putting it down, but if you're consistent and persistent in your approach, it works very, very well. And let's just go to say that this deal is in London. Yes, you can find rent-to-rent deals in London. So congratulations on that. A massive, brilliant. Well done. Well done.
Yeah, really excited about it again. Yeah, and thanks to you, mate. For about the fourth time I said that. But the thing with it is, Mark, that you've always, I picked up the phone, you've been there, do this, do that, right? So, and I'm always, I totally leave my ego at the door when it comes to education. And I don't care if you're 18 or 88. If you've trodden that path and you're successful, I'm leaning on you, my man.
That's it. And that's exactly how and that's all you have to do. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just follow what others have done. And if you can perfect it as well and tweak it and make it your own, happy days. But initially, just learn the process. As we said before, follow the process, take action, and you will get results. So, no, congratulations, mate. You've put the work in. You've done it. You've stuck with it. And it's great to see. It's always a pleasure to see. And I've walked around the property with you as well, and I can vouch. It's a lovely, lovely property. There is 2 versions of this going out, which is a podcast version, which you won't be able to see. But if you check out the Property Unleashed YouTube channel, the video with this going out will show us walking around the property as well, and Rupen pointing out a few bits and bobs. But it's a lovely property. It's got so much potential as well. You've done a fantastic deal. You've made it a win-win for you and the other parties. And it's just building up that know, like, and trust, getting to know people, seeing what their problem is. And as you say, and I'll just go back to it, you didn't even offer them the most money. And that is one of the beauties about it, because I say to people, if you know what your values are and you know what you're offering in your business, whether it's a rent-to-rent business, HMOs, service accommodation, you're flipping properties, you're buying properties, it's just business. Yeah. If you speak from the heart and you genuinely go in there to help, support, and help people out, that in return will come back tenfold to you, because you've gone in there. This is the deal. I am a business and this is what stacks. You'll have so many amateur people going in there saying, I'll give you 3,200. And then all of a sudden, 6 months down the line, they're handing back a property that's nowhere near in the state that it is when they get it. Why? Because they've done a bad job, because they couldn't make any money. They became disillusioned. They didn't have any money to put into it. They probably even lost some money along the way. And then it all spirals out of control. Whereas you've gone in there, this is the deal. This is what I can offer you. This is the certainty and assurance I can offer you as well, by doing a good job and looking after your asset. And I have to say, Star, I'm going to get you a sticker. I'm going to put a star on you for, top of the class at the end of the day. That is brilliant, mate. Well done.
Thank you, my man. Thank you. No, it's really, I think you're right. You hold your own on a price. Don't risk it. Don't risk. I wanted to make sure you earn money out of it. What's the point of doing it if you're not? I do enough charity work anyway, as you know, right? So, as for my, what's going to put the butter and bread, milk and the tea for the kids and pay for the light switches to go on. But also, this was brilliant as well. So I didn't mind reducing the margin slightly, because I was cutting my teeth on my first HMO, which is good for my other HMO. So it's a big learning curve again. As much as you read a lot about it, it's not until you experience, until you start learning the most. And the other bit was having that credibility as well to get that first rent-to-rent HMO, or business-to-business as I like to call it, for other landlords. Because sometimes it's difficult to go to a landlord who goes, well, tell me about your other deals. Well, yeah, you know what I mean? But, there's ways around it. But it's to have that one under the belt, and then it just brings that, you can get a bit more momentum with it. It helps.
Well, we all have to start somewhere. And I always just say, be transparent in what you're doing. You know, if you are working with somebody, if they've trained you up, if they've taught you how to do a certain strategy, then just say, you know, I have been shown how to do this, you know, and now I'm doing this in my area. I've got the qualifications. I know what I'm doing. And I always say to people, particularly when you're starting out, listen, if you work with me, you know, you're always going to have a sort of a soft spot in my heart and my business because you're like the first clients that I'll have. And you always take extra special care of the first clients that you have. Now, you're saying that to the right people. It makes sense. And you are, at the end of the day, the first sort of landlords that I've done deals with, they have got a bit of, because they took a bit of a gamble with me. They believed in what I could achieve and what I could do to help them. And you know, we've managed to work and have a good working relationship. So it really is commendable. And I love the fact that, you know, you're mixing it up. You're doing your flips, as I said before, you're buying your properties, you're building up the portfolio. Now you're adding a rent to rent and you're looking to add a few more there, build up the cash flow. And as I always say, have a bucket with lots of different taps. So rent to rent pouring in, flips pouring in, you know, your own portfolio pouring into that bucket, in which case, if any one of those taps at any time, multiple streams of income, if any one of those taps stops, you're not crippled by it. You know, you've still got money coming through from different channels. So well done with that, mate.
Thanks, mate. I think it's also, thanks, mate. So I think it's also important that when you're doing it, build your systems as you're going. You know, in an ideal world, textbook operation that you want every system in place to go and press. Sometimes you don't know, but a system isn't only, you know, buying a computer, an app, or it's about having a Word document going like, for this part of the business, this is what I did. These are the 5 steps I took. So, you know, I'm interviewing for a VA at the moment because all this going on, don't think like I'm an 8-armed Indian god out there, right? Trying to do everything on my own. I'm recruiting like some VAs now, and we're looking at, you know, I've started to interview and work with some cleaning teams, and I don't need a build team for my HMOs. It's more of the handyman or handy woman, doesn't matter who it is really, as long as they're handy. Right? Yeah, a handy person, yeah. And to have that sort of written down, listed out, and it's just the go-to. So I can just say to a VA, you know, who's working in the Philippines, like, there's my list of handy persons. Go on, crack on.
Yeah. Game changer, absolute game changer. And of course, that's what we show you with the rent to rent business builder as well, which is build the systems up as you're going. I got to 6 rent to rents and thought, crikey, this is getting a bit busy for me. And I wish I'd have done that a lot sooner. So you've got the right attitude there. You're getting in there, you're doing it sooner, and you're building up those systems as you go. So I am conscious of your time, my friend. And I know I've asked you these before, but I'm going to ask you them again because I'm always intrigued. Obviously, we're 12 months on from the last podcast that we had together. That's 12 months of growth, of learning. You know, if I am exactly the same as I am 12 months ago, something's wrong. I'm always looking to grow. And I know you are as well, always further educating yourself and things. So let's go through the questions again and then and see what the answers are this time, if you don't mind.
Go for it. I know what you're going to ask me. I've actually prepped for this already. So yeah, go for it. You're going to chuck me a curveball now, aren't you?
You listened to one podcast in the past. I bet it was your own, and you're taking it from that.
It's the most. There's someone that I listen to most. No, I'm joking.
It better be. Right. So, what's the best advice you've been given?
Oh, see, I forgot that question. Best advice. I'll tell you what I read the other day, and it's my newest bit of advice. So let me give some current advice. And there's a few mantras. Oh God, I could do a whole podcast on mantras with you. But I'll tell you what I read, and it's a Stoic one. And it was more matter, less art. Saying, you know, just put more value into what you're doing rather than sort of. I guess you know, other people might have different translations of it, but mine was more matter, less art, as in, you know, make it valuable what you're doing. Don't do it for show. Don't do it for, you know, your ego. Don't do it for social media. You know, what's the end? What's the game plan? What's the end goal, right? And what are you offering? So that was a nice bit of advice that I read.
Very nice. Good stuff. Good stuff. If you could sit down and have dinner with 3 people, who would you sit down and have dinner with?
I'm going to go with, oh man, it was going to be definitely, I think it'll be some of the Stoics, because I'm really into Stoicism at the moment. I can't even say the word, right? Because it's like proper South London, can't even say it. Stoics, some people like Aurelius, some of the, the old, that empire people used to write all this stuff. It's amazing, right? It's amazing. I'd love to sit down with Jim Rohn. I'll nick another one, right? It was off your podcast. It was my good friend and our good friend Walter Pontes, and just brilliant what he said, and it just resonated. He goes, "The third person, I don't know because I've not met him yet." And I thought that was just absolute quality. 8 billion people on this little planet of ours. There's going to be someone who's going to be a game changer in the future, right? After the lust of the relationship of meeting them, and then you get to love more about them, there's going to be someone out there. From 2 years ago, I've met people who have changed the direction of my life. Really have. And it's been amazing. So it's the person I've not met yet. He's my third person. Yeah.
Cool. That's
a bit deep, that, man. It's a bit deep, wasn't it? For a
bit deep. So you actually only gave me one name.
Sorry?
You actually only gave me one name.
Yeah, but who did I say there? Yeah, I said Jim Rohn, and I said, I think his name's Aurelius. He was quite a. He was quite.
Oh, I just like to put you on a spot with that one.
Mate, you're gonna make me start now, aren't you?
Okay, what's your top 3 podcasts?
Oh, so I listen to this one a lot. Yeah, I do because I learn, because it's my business as well.
Yeah.
Love Daniel, property entrepreneur, massive for me. And being my mentors, I get a lot from that. I'm actually going to say the one I've been listening to the most a lot, because it's more about the business side of it and the financials, is Ultimate FD with Josh Keegan. They're the 3. Oh. Yeah, I've been listening to them 3 in particular, because they're all about what we're doing now, as in, as you know, our motto of health, wealth, and life by design. That all of them 3, because our business is the property and rent to rent and HMOs and property entrepreneurs, all about business. And then we've got the financials, because I think the financials are really important. And Josh gives some great advice.
Oh, it's very good. I'm just proud that I've had all of those guys as guests on my show. So past episodes of the Property Unleashed, we've had Dan Hill on, we've had Josh Keegan, and you're stuck with me at the moment.
Yeah, so not a bad thing, mate. It's not a bad thing.
Not a bad thing. So what's your top 3 books that you'd recommend?
Right, so my first, I'm always going to edify these 2 is my 2 go-to books that I've been reading since I was 18, which is The Magic of Thinking Big and How to Win Friends and Influence People. They just bring me back to earth. If I'm having a bit of a shit day or whatever, I can pick them up, tuck the pages back in, right, the yellowed pages. In fact, I need to buy new copies of them because they're proper old. I'll tell you what, one of my go-to books now, and I've just read it last year, is Daniel's Karma Credits. It's a good life book. But the 3 I've read, I listened to. 2 of them I listened to, because I'm more of an audible person. Do it on the steps and my walks. Honestly, I can't big this up. I've ordered copies for my kids. He's The Millionaire Next Door. Right, which is, it's just about the compound effect of investment. I think it's brilliant. Got finally, which is brilliant, is The Gap and the Game.
Yeah, that's good.
Right, Gap and the Game, yeah. And actually, when I was reading that, I was sort of proud of myself, because I do appreciate the game a lot.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you can just live your life with anxiety or regret. So no, just keep moving forward. And The Daily Stoic is the one I read. It's a page a day. I read it 2 or 3 times, and I absorb it and think about it through the day.
That's good.
So they're my 3 books by Ryan Holiday. That is. That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's only a page a day. It's a page a day. So read it. I read it a couple of times. It's broken down into Aurelius doing his thing. and telling us, or one of the them, I can't remember what you call them, the emperors who used to be not Stoics. But then it's broken down into more Rupen-y layman's terms that, sort of I marry them up and I go, yeah, that was that, more matter, less art. Yeah. Love that. There's loads of it.
That's the one where you basically, there's a page for every day of the year, isn't there?
Basically, yeah.
I've gone through that. It is very, very, very good. I'll tell you what, though, The Millionaire Next Door, I didn't agree with a lot of that. There's some really good fundamentals there, but I also think that some of it sort of almost like, hold you back from actually enjoying yourself.
Yeah, you got to measure it. If the cat fits, wear it. I think it's exactly that. There is, like in any book, Mark, you're not going to agree with everything, right?
Of course not.
It's the bit that you want to design into your life, but also the necessity and the basics. It's the basics of life, right? So, if you earn £1 million and spend 999,000, blah blah blah, do you know what I mean? You're living wage to wage.
Yeah.
So, but depends what your goals are. So there was some good stuff about frugality and compound effect, and I think there were some good points. What are you reading at the moment?
What am I reading? I'm reading. I've got it over here actually. Black Box Thinking.
Oh, I saw that. Yes, good. Matthew Said.
Yeah, I picked it up when I was down in London. Actually, there's a nice book shop in St Pancras, and as I was wandering through, I thought I could do it a new book while I was waiting for the train. And I picked that up. It's good. It's good, actually. It's good.
What's the insight? Go on, we've got a couple of minutes. What's the insight?
Well, I'm only a chapter or so into it because I've been reading another one as well. I always have a couple of books on the go. I don't know where the other one is. I think it's over there.
Yeah.
But the insights basically are: have a black box in your business. Don't just skate around problems. Solve them, analyze them, and remove them from your business.
Yes.
So basically, that's what it's all. So it's like saying the air industry is one of the safest industries in the world, even though it's probably got the most moving parts as well and putting people up in the air. But whenever there's a crash, they look at why it's happened and they don't particularly blame anybody, but they work out why it's happened, how it's happened, and how they can prevent it, which makes it better every time. Whereas in the medical industry, particularly in this country and in America, if there's a problem, a lot of the time it's skated around. They don't want to dig deeper to see why that problem actually happened because nobody wants to get into trouble. So if you have a doctor that's maybe just having a bad day and does something that they wouldn't normally do, why? Because they've had an argument or something like that. It's never really pinpointed. And they're saying if everybody sort of got rid of the blame culture and looked at it more as how can we change this and find solutions, the world would be a better place at the end of the day. Businesses would run better. People would get more satisfaction. There'd be less deaths and all of those sort of things. So it really is good.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that's one. I'll record it. I'll record this book. So no, that'll be on my listen.
Yeah. No, it's worth checking out. I've enjoyed it. But I'm always into me books. But like I say, I don't try and read as many books as I can possibly read now. I try and study the books that I am reading if I think, obviously, they're worth going back and studying. Well, once again, my fine fellow, my mate, my old mucker, it's been fantastic having you on. If anybody wants to reach out to you and find out more about what Rupen is up to, how can they get hold of you?
Well, it's Rupen Patel. So, look, email we can put into the notes. Yeah, email address. If anyone wants to reach out, any questions or, if you're looking to invest or, it'd be rude for me not to always say that. It's part of my speech now. Need any help? I'm just going to reach out to me. You can get me also on Facebook on Rupen Patel or on Instagram on Rupen Patel Property, all small case. Brilliant. And you'll see this little radio face of mine, which you'll see on the picture on the podcast. That'll be me.
Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And we're always looking at doing things together as well, JVing and doing deals and developments and stuff. So do feel free to reach out to Rupen, see what he's got going on. And if you want to find out anything else, you can't get hold of Rupen, reach out to me and I'll tell you what we're up to. Because, that's what it's all about. We're willing to do earn and learns with people as well. So if you are an investor and you're thinking to yourself, I've got money, I don't know what to do with it, and I'm a bit scared and I'm a bit afraid, we have projects that are going on all the time that, you know, you can chunk a bit of cash in, you can make some money, and we'll take you step by step through the processes. And you can see there's a lot of processes and a lot of paperwork that you have to get to, but we'll share that with you so that then you'll have the confidence when you're paid back and you've got your money back and everything, to go out there and do it for yourself. And of course, you can still connect with us because you'll be in our inner circle by then.
Golden circle.
Yeah, that's it. So golden circle, blimey, that sounds really good. So no, great to have you on, mate. And we will catch up again soon, personally, but equally, I'd love to get you back on the podcast again. In fact, I'd love to do an episode with you and your lovely wife Tracy as well, and talk about the kitchen business, if that's any good.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, just on Instagram, it's KWT Kitchens with Tracy. So if anyone wants any tips on, you know, especially developers, just do it. But yeah, Tracy would love to come on it. She doesn't know it yet, but she will love it. I'll make sure she loves it. Yeah, it'll be great. Yeah, of course, mate. And it's brilliant to share some tips and some help, because we see so many people get their pants ripped down. And that's what
it is an industry that you need to know what you're doing. There's a lot of money floating around and a lot of people that don't particularly know exactly what they're doing. So, you know, connect with the right people. And if we can help you and point in the right direction, then we will do. And that's what it's all about. So equally to that, one more thing I just wanted to mention is you've taken over the Blackfriars Property Investing Network pin meeting, haven't you?
I have, yeah. So excited about that, Mark. You know, it was a big step. I mean, I'm filling some big shoes or some big high heels, right, from Jo Jameson De Silva, who's, you know, she sort of took me on as a part of the team. I was an attendee. She asked me if I wanted to join the team. I joined the team. Then she made me team leader, and then I don't know if she had a vision, but then. Sort of, I got approached to take over because after 3 fantastic years, what Jo's done, and she's brilliant at it, and I've to learn so much from her. I've stepped up to the plate and took the reins as the host. And my first meeting is the 23rd of May at Blackfriars. So please, if you want to come along. I know you're going to be coming up soon as well, Mark, as one of our speakers.
Yeah, I believe I'm there the 26th of September. So get that one in your diary as well, guys and girls. After summer, let's go and party together at Blackfriars Pin. But brilliant, mate. And that's all about giving back, you know, sharing your experience with people, also working with people. And as I say, I do the Great North Pin for that very reason, which is just to help people get a leg up that ladder, start taking, you know, the right route. So no, well done, mate. Well done. And
thank you.
Hey. Always my pleasure. Have you got any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
No, I always finish off with thank you very much. Always a pleasure to spend another hour with you. We can talk for England. Oh, yes. And it's always flows of conversation. I hope the audience got a little bit out of this today. And I will always finish by saying, be good. Be good. And if you can't be good, be great. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice. And on that note, we shall wrap this one up. So do check out thepropertyunleashed.com for free tools and resources when it comes to property investing, rent-to-rent, service accommodation, and all of those good things. Equally to that, if you want to reach out to Rupen, we will put his details in the show notes for wherever you're watching or listening to this. If you have enjoyed it, please feel free to share it, to like it, and leave a review. If you didn't like it, don't leave a review. So at the end of the day, all that leaves me to say is thank you for joining us today. I look forward to you joining me on the next episode. You take care, and bye for now.